Look, I want to know what there is more of. Chicago White Sox wins or Chicago White Sox fans in the seats? Because I don't know if you saw that video making its rounds or any handful of videos from this most recent series. There was legitimately, I kid you not, I'm not trying to exaggerate here. Somebody can run the numbers for me. Somebody check the attendance data. I'm like 99% sure the Chicago White Sox had fewer fans at their games this weekend than the Oakland A's have been averaging. And we all know the situation with the Oakland A's and their attendance issues, but it honestly, my first thought when I saw how few people were in the stands is my mind immediately went to, this is what it looks like when a team has like open practice. It's like the off season, like, they're like a day off or something, and they're just getting some light work in, and hey, come into the ballpark, catch a practice or something, or like one of those like side field days in spring training where you just have people kind of standing around just because they're there and they got nothing else to do. It's honestly what this reminded me of. It was pitiful. The White Sox, fresh off a sweep to the Phillies, they've dropped to 3-18 on the season. Got a note here for you. They are the 10th team in history to drop 18 of their first 21 games, and the first in 2 decades. This is the worst 21 game start in White Sox history. They have a negative 71 run differential. Who, a team we mentioned earlier, the Rockies, their next closest in line for worst run differential in all of baseball. You want to know what their run differential is? White Sox is negative 71. The Rockies, who we all know are terrible, negative 47. The White Sox, negative 71. That's what we're dealing with. UConn men's basketball has won more games since opening day than the Chicago White Sox. Let that sink in. I'll say it again if you don't believe me or you can't wrap your head around it. The UConn men's basketball team has won more games since opening day than the Chicago White Sox. That's the level of historic play that we're dealing with, or lack thereof, because they're not playing very well. They're not playing really at all. I'm surprised these games don't qualify as forfeits because you're not seeing anything from the White Sox, which is surprising. You can say what you want. I know White Sox fans are feeling some type of way about their team right now. And there's probably many just general baseball fans who have kind of checked in on the White Sox. You're hearing how bad they go. How bad can it really be? Oh, wow, they're horrendous. I don't care. I don't care how bad the White Sox are supposed to be. The thing that I don't understand is that their lineup doesn't, to me at least, I may be way out of touch with how poor performers are in this lineup. To me, though, this lineup does not reflect this type of performance. It just doesn't. You look at the names, like for example, I'll pull up their lineup from today, and you tell me that this is a lineup that is off to or is capable of pulling off this bad of a start. So their lineup today against the Phillies, they had Nicky Lopez leading off, Robbie Grossman hitting second, Eloy Jimenez hitting third, Gavin Sheets hitting fourth, Andrew Benintendi hitting fifth, Kevin Pillar hitting sixth, Leanin Sosa hitting 7th. Lenyon Sosa, whatever it is. Braden Shoemake hitting 8th. Martin Maldonado. I understand that, for example, like Martin Maldonado, horrendous this year. I get that. And as well as a handful of these other names. But wouldn't you agree that like we've heard far worse lineups before? It's a very memeable thing, like on Twitter. You know, like you think back to the worst days of your team's history, like in recent years. Like you think back, like for, you know, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but if your team, if your favorite team was just terrible in like 2019, you go back, you find a random lineup from a random Tuesday game in June, and it's just a bunch of no names. This lineup isn't filled with a bunch of no names. That's what I don't understand. I don't understand why this lineup is not capable of winning more than 3 games, 20, 21, 22 games into the season. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. They're just so bad. Absolutely terrible. On average, the White Sox have been outscored by 3.38 runs per game in 2024. And on top of that, they're going to Minnesota. They got Minnesota up next. And I think I read that they have the White Sox have Minnesota for like 7 of their next 10 or something? Which you may hear that and go, well, what does that matter? Like, okay, so what? If you're a team like the Twins, who, unlike the White Sox, know that you're capable of being better than you are, because the Twins aren't doing too hot. I think they're like 7-13, I think. If you're the Twins, you're talking about foaming at the mouth. You're foaming at the mouth when you see a team like the White Sox queued up next in the schedule, knowing that you have a real chance to get back on track. So if you're the White Sox, you kind of might be running into a little bit of a buzzsaw. Not that I think the Twins are a buzzsaw team, but given the situation, given the scenarios that both teams are in right now, the White Sox, any team they go up against right now is going to kick a mother down, or at least do their best to. And then again, you've got the Twins, who are off to a little bit of a rocky start, needing a team like the White Sox to come into town to right the ship. Not only do you have them coming into town, you've got them for 7 of your next 10. So, I mean, I cannot imagine a better scenario for the Twins. So, and because of that, I can think of very few scenarios that would be worse for the White Sox. I don't have much more to say on it. There was little to no expectations for the White Sox coming into this year, but I just don't think we expected them to start this bad. You know, I mean, this is awful. 3-18. White Sox been around for a long time. Their worst 21 game start in history. And here's the worst part. It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse.